usabeerratings.com. Dessert beer is a brew that is said to be stronger, sometimes darker, always a little bit sweeter than your usual pints, hence the name. The concept of the dessert beer is simple. They either mimic dessert favorites or take a great deal of inspiration from it. So, as we know, we drink a lot of beer. We have some great ideas while we're drinking those beers. Megan and I were having a chat earlier about writing things down and putting things on your phone when you have said brainwaves. And this happened to be one of them. We were a little bit boozed. My wife said to me, "You should do the dessert range." I will take that and I will run with it. And I started off with the mulva pudding, which I think is a fairly South African staple, and kind of ran from there. We were just like, ideas as they came, we just noted them down, designed the recipes, and just came up with ideas. So, you know, like these are international options: small porter, double chocolate milk stout, coconut porter, and obviously on the fruit side, we're going to try and pronounce it correctly. Framboise. Thank you very much. Framboise. All right. So the concept here is that similar to when you're la-di-da and you have a few drinks of an evening with a fancy dinner, and you may have a port or some other kind of strong, sweet kind of end of the night, nightcap kind of idea. That is the idea behind these beers. They're all fairly big. Most of them, I think, are 6.5% plus. And the idea here is that you're not going to sit and quaff these all day. This is not Dion's 2% milk stout. This is Russian Imperial Stout 9% kind of idea. You're not going to have very many of them unless you're very, very strong like Russia. So that's the idea. Is, you know, you may have been at a beer fest all day, you may have been drinking IPAs all day, you want something a little bit sweeter or a little bit different to break that. Get that in you, and then it's bedtime. Sleep time. Alright, the stouts that I focused on are stouts, porters, strong ales. Blonde stouts are something that I investigated a couple of years back. They seem to be the flavor of the month right now. I haven't explored fruit lambics too much because I don't have the patience, but it's an option if you are, dare I say, more fruit salad enhanced. Yes.
Have you made a white stout?
I have, and you have 2 on the table.
Really?
Yes.
So I want to taste one.
We'll get there. Alright, the recipes that I follow are a mulva pudding strong ale, which thanks to Dion advising me on that, because I was very much along the lines of, I don't really know what style of beer this is. I've got the flavors that I want, but it's 7% something. I gave him one and he was like, make it a strong ale. I was like, okay, so be it. So strong ale, it's got stone fruit juice in it. It's primed with apricot and mango jam. Something that I sort of experimented with as well was, instead of using sugar, these are all bottle conditions, so instead of using sugar, let's try something that is different, a different flavor as opposed to just being neutral, and it worked really well. So in the mulva pudding, there is an apricot and mango jam. Next up, we've got a rice pudding blonde stout.
Sorry, now, so where did the mulva come from, the apricot and mango?
Okay, so essentially what I did was I took the recipe for the pudding, converted that into the grain bill. So you're getting your sort of bready, biscuity, caramelly, syrupy kind of vibe there. And the apricot applies the mulva essence and experience to it. You'll see. Hopefully it comes through. I'm really
No, because I wanted to ask, so you didn't like apply a mulva straight to the thing. You took your recipe, whatever taste, you took the nuances.
Yes.
Then it suited this dessert.
Correct. So the idea here is not to necessarily put pudding in a bowl, but is to give you that dessert experience in the form of a beer. My plan behind this is to be, it's still a beer. It's not like some weird kind of fruit flavored syrup that's in the glass.
You can put cake mix in and say,
Yeah,
it's a-
none of that.
We've had
And a whole bunch of
people
butter.
competitions that way.
Right.
Next
up,
a red velvet cake.
Yes, I don't want to talk about it.
Next up, we've got a rice pudding non-start, which is the newest in the range. Essentially, we're all trying this together for the first time. It's a 6.5%. Cardamom, cinnamon, nutmeg, and vanilla in this one. I have tasted one. It might need a bit of tweaking, but like I said, it's the first version. It'll evolve probably into something.
You also support Woolies.
Yeah. Next up is one of my favorites, milk tart blonde stout.
So milk turkey.
Milk tart.
Oh.
Similar base to the rice pudding. Essentially, same grain bill, same hop bill, just less the cardamom, less the nutmeg, and with cinnamon and vanilla. And then finally we have the Black Forest, which is, I know, not South African, but I felt that it deserved to feature here because it is a lovely beer.
That looks nice.
It really will be nice.
That
So
looks
now,
nice.
how much cardamom? Because cardamom is strong. Like it's very.
Yeah,
how much-
it is. Okay,
How much you put in? And that.
Yeah, 1 part. Like,
yeah, to give you an idea of the volumes that I brew without embarrassing myself too much, I brew to 10 liters. So I brew a case at a time. So it's quite easy to do these fairly large beers with interesting ingredients and not waste too much beer if it's cut. So cardamom in particular, I think it was in a 10-liter batch with something like 2 or 3 grams. It wasn't very much at all.
Yep.
But it is incredibly floral and it's incredibly powerful. So it's one of those things where there was in the rice pudding there was some in the last 5 minutes of the boil and some in secondary. So when I tasted it, I was just not happy enough, so I just tweaked it a little bit more.
Okay, so a malva, a standard malva pudding, as a lot of people know, is basically a sweet cake,
Yeah.
and then you impart flavor by putting a syrup over the top, a hot syrup. Okay, I'm interested to know what your malt bill is on that one, because that should be fairly complex. I mean, are you looking at almost a blonde neutral malt bill with?
No, it's quite a caramelly to give it
So
that
you're adding
syrupy-
carrots.
Yeah. It's,
Caramelized
it's
malt.
quite amount of crystal in it.
Okay.
If you test me now in front of a whole lot of people, I'm not going to pass that test, I'm afraid. But
Well, you did want to stand there.
I did. I'm happy to stand here and take it.
Caramuni, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there's definitely some biscuity stuff in there. There's some carrots. There's you're gonna have to come to me afterwards and I can figure it out. Off the top of my head, I can't.
I'm just thinking about the thought process, not the recipe.
Yes.
Because I don't want to take away your IP.
It's all good. Okay, so if you want to, we can start opening things.
We want to.
If you want to, one order.
We want to.
This is the question. So, which one first? I'm willing to say do the malt pudding first. I don't want to keep that in your face. But I would start with the rice pudding. Go to the milk tart.
It's not at Melbourne. What there? Melbourne.
Go to Melbourne first. My bad. Do the rice pudding first. Too late because
Grace was showing
Okay, so This table is separate, we'll deal with them in a moment. Your rice pudding, you should be getting a fairly good mouthfeel. I'm hoping that your rice
What is this now?
this is the next step.
Chocolate cinnamon.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna hit it with some. Okay, so controlling the rice pudding. Okay. We're all on the wrong team.
We're on the right here.
What do you want? Who's on Malva pudding? Who's on rice? Everybody who's on rice pudding, just relax, we'll get there. Alright, Malva pudding. Yeah. Right, Malva pudding people. Right. So here you have a 7% ABV, sort of moderate ABV. The point here being that the hops don't take the fruity creaminess of it, right? So as a total cheat, I used Spa stone fruit juice. Spa. They have the greatest stone fruit juice. It's fantastic. Mark wasn't even here for me to say that. And yeah, that goes into secondary. It can bubble away for a couple of days, and then prime the bottle with, as I said, apricot and mango jam. I think it's there.
We don't know. Rice.
Well, yes, we're getting it. Right, so moving swiftly on. Rice pudding.
There we go.
Hold on. You're savoring this.
Okay, rice pudding people. After this, we'll put it all together and we'll all be on the same page. All right.
Chairman, I like to do the cocktail. Alright, ready for rice pudding? Hit the jam, big time.
Rice pudding people.
The rice pudding.
As per my esteemed colleague here, this is a blonde stout in a rice pudding, hopefully equivalent. There was rice in the grain bill. I don't know so much that got through in the flavour, but was there. There is cardamom, cinnamon, vanilla, end of oil, and secondary. The grain bill there is vast quantities of kale, a little bit of carrot, something for colour. Africa brew. Usually it gives you that little bit of earthiness. There's a lot going on there.
And you spice put them at the end of the boil.
Last 10 minutes all right. Are we ready to move on to little tart all together? Hold on, we're drinking. Oh, jeez. I am so sorry that you're drinking so slowly. Well, now we're going back to the list. No one listens. I'd like to thank Trevor for his help with my eggs and That's a strong one if you
Just drink it.
Can I have one? Please. Bruce, can I do the line down? Thank you. So hopefully you all have a milk tart and start on your computers right now. Like I say, the rice pudding is an experiment in progress. We don't have
Alright. Now we powerful. Now I put on my radio voice. Oh, hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming down to my radio voice beer tasting this afternoon. So, you should now all have the milk tart blonde stout in your hands. If you don't, open the bottle. It's one of the bottles that are on your table with milk tart written on it. There we go. I hear this. That's fine. That's your decision. All right. So here you've got. It's going to be fairly similar to the last one. I understand that. It's going to be less floral. You should get a little bit of cinnamon, some vanilla, but ultimately the idea here is that you are sort of visiting Tony's milk dad from your childhood. Okay, it's the idea, it's the experience. All right. Any questions? Right, okay. Yes. Understandable. Okay, I mean, it's all entirely up to your interpretation of what you get. I mean, I'm far better for me to say, hey, you should be getting this. Question? No pudding was hurt in the making of these beers. These are all genuine, all-grain beer recipes. No pudding.
That's for you and your...
Are you going lunch now? All right. Let's go out with a bang. Okay, the last one is Black Forest Imperial Stout. All right. This is the fucking winner, man. Crack it. Let's drink it. This is brewed with... This is brewed with African Queen, Azaka Galina, and it has cherries in the secondary and is primed with cherry jam.
How the fuck did you do sutures while
Yes. So all of you have been drinking Dion's milk stout. Well done, Jay. What's happening there?
Jay, don't try and stop. You opened your glass too by
all of the good work that you've been partaking in drinking a 2% milk stout is thoroughly undone by this.
Yes,
Very undone by this. Thank you. All right, so moving on to the processes. Your grain bill, you're looking for biscuit, caramel, chocolate, coffee, and in one case rice. Your hop bill is generally lower perceived bitterness. If you're going with anything, you're tending towards a little bit of spicy, mostly floral or fruity. Your mash is generally slightly higher to get those unfermentables for bigger body. You're looking at a longer mash time. Your boil, this is when you, at the end of your boil, this is when you add your spices, generally near the end of the boil. In your ferment, add your fruit, your juice, your spices to the secondary. And when you get to your packaging, you prime your bottles with sugar or jam. I mean, this is my experience, this is my process. Take from it what you will.
It's got a nice head on it.
Thank you. That's what she said. I essentially went with a third of a teaspoon of sugar is what I usually use for things, so I went with a third of a teaspoon of jam, and it worked. Yeah.
Sorry, Chris, can you go back?
Any questions, sir?
Can you go back?
Yes, I can.
You marked it. Wants to see the IP. That's what he wants.
Right.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, done. All right, so the flavors we're going for. Sorry, question here.
Just go back to the primary.
Yes.
So you would be taking tiny little 2.5 balls of jam
Yes.
in the box.
Because remember, I am brewing to a 10-liter batch, so it's literally 24 bottles. It's not a huge amount of time in my life.
No, I'm not talking the time.
Never had a bomb. Yeah. No, I don't batch bomb. I haven't never batch bomb, so each bottle gets its dose of jam.
So great.
Yes.
For this black forest,
Yeah.
you put what jam? Strawberry.
Cherry. So the cherry, actual cherry.
You can pick it up.
Yeah.
You can pick up the fruit. I mean, I can't work out.
Sure.
Raspberry, cherry.
Excellent. All right, so the flavors you're looking for, I mean, it's all putting flavors that we should know: biscuit, caramel, chocolate, coffee, cinnamon, cardamom. In some cases, black pepper. I've recently done a jam with strawberry and black pepper that was great. There's no black pepper in anything here, and anyone who knows me knows that I'm a bit of a black pepper fiend, so anyone who's digging in the fridge across the road there may have come across a black pepper and strawberry blonde last night. That's another story for another time. Okay, in addition to that, you need to add your fruit, and generally your stone fruits are the things that hold up most to what we're brewing here, so in particular plums, cherries, that kind of thing. Lactose, not too much, enough just to push that mouthfeel up. Priming is your sugar and or jam. I'm having a good experience with jam. Question.
Can I ask you how you do your priming with jam? Is it do you melt it and add it to a coffee bucket, or
Take a third of a teaspoon measure from the kitchen, scoop in.
A bottle.
That is a third of a teaspoon, is just wide enough to go down a bottle. How? Force.
may the
That's
force
what she
be
said.
with you?
Wash it down with words.
Oh, sorry, question.
Can I ask the 10 meter?
No, he's a plastic bucket. It's fermented in what you feel like. I mean, for me, it's a plastic bucket. Tried not to embarrass myself in front of a room full of professionals. Anywho, oh yes, good advice, thank you. All right, so future experiments. Thanks, Brewlosophy. All right, so let's go through them. This is one for Mr. Garrett at the back.
You're not Aquafresh, then?
Yeah, not Aquafresh, but that will be somewhat of a challenge, but we'll give it a go. Chocolate mousse, lemon meringue, creme brulee, salted caramel, which I've attempted with not real good success, but it was there. Cook Sisters, a Dom Pedro. Oh yeah, I drink a Dom Pedro beer. And trifle. Trifle's going to be an interesting one to try. Yeah, that's like all the fruit and all the cream and all the everything. So thank you very much for listening to me waffle on. I hope you enjoyed the beer.
We're not going to take photos of everyone.
No.
I was asked very nicely to ask everyone to go and stand in the back there.
In the rain.
Yeah, it's kind of a real song, yeah.
I hate photos.
Okay, so...
Oh, that's a nice logo. Who thought about that one? That's a lovely logo.
So we all move to the back, and then we can get the photograph.
Let's